The story of Abraham and Isaac is one of the most well-known and unsettling narratives in the Bible. It is found in Genesis chapter 22, verses 1 through 19. God commands Abraham to take his son Isaac, his only son, to the land of Moriah. There, Abraham is to sacrifice Isaac as a burnt offering. This command is a profound test of Abraham's faith. Abraham obeys without question. He travels to Moriah and prepares to sacrifice Isaac. At the last moment, an angel of the Lord intervenes. The angel stops Abraham from harming Isaac. A ram is caught in a thicket, which Abraham sacrifices in Isaac's place. This story, known as the Akedah, has been interpreted in various ways. Traditionally, it is seen as a testament to Abraham's unwavering faith and obedience to God. This interpretation emphasizes Abraham's willingness to sacrifice even his most precious possession for his faith. The story ends with God reaffirming his covenant with Abraham. He blesses Abraham for his faithfulness. This story has had a profound impact on Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. It continues to raise complex theological and ethical questions. The Akedah challenges us to confront the nature of faith, obedience, and the nature of God. To understand the story of Abraham and Isaac, we must consider its historical context. Child sacrifice, while abhorrent to us today, was practiced in the ancient Near East. This practice was often seen as a way to appease deities or ensure fertility and prosperity. Cultures surrounding the Israelites, such as the Canaanites and Phoenicians, were known to engage in child sacrifice. Archaeological evidence supports the prevalence of child sacrifice in these cultures. Excavations have uncovered the remains of infants and children who were ritually sacrificed. These sacrifices were often made to gods associated with fertility, such as Baal or Moloch. The Bible itself condemns child sacrifice as a pagan practice. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 21 explicitly prohibits the offering of children to Moloch. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 31 further condemns the practice, stating that it was something the Israelites' enemies did and it was detestable to God. This context is crucial for understanding the story of Abraham and Isaac. It suggests that the story might be interpreted as a condemnation of child sacrifice rather than an endorsement of it. The story of Abraham and Isaac presents significant moral challenges. How can a loving God demand such a brutal act from one of his followers? The idea of sacrificing a child, especially one's own child, is morally repugnant to most people today. It raises questions about the nature of God and the ethics of religious obedience. If God is all loving and merciful, how could he command such a thing? This question has troubled theologians and philosophers for centuries. Some argue that the story highlights the absolute sovereignty of God. God has the right to command whatever he chooses, even if it seems morally wrong to humans. Others suggest that the story is meant to test our faith. It forces us to confront the limits of our understanding of God's will. The ethical implications of the story are profound. It raises questions about the relationship between faith and morality. Can faith ever justify acts that would otherwise be considered morally wrong? The Akedah compels us to grapple with these uncomfortable questions. It challenges us to examine our own beliefs about God, faith, and the nature of good and evil. Section 4. A test of faith, not sacrifice. Reinterpreting the Akedah. Some scholars propose alternative interpretations of the Akedah. These interpretations challenge the traditional view of Abraham's near sacrifice as a test of blind obedience. Instead, they suggest that the story is meant to condemn human sacrifice and affirm a more compassionate understanding of God. One such interpretation argues that the story is a polemic against the child sacrifice practiced by neighboring cultures. By depicting Abraham's willingness to sacrifice his son, the story highlights the barbarity of such practices. The fact that God ultimately prevents the sacrifice reinforces the idea that human life is sacred. Another interpretation emphasizes the substitutionary nature of the sacrifice. The ram that is ultimately sacrificed in Isaac's place can be seen as a foreshadowing of the future sacrifice of Jesus. In Christian theology, Jesus is often referred to as the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. This interpretation suggests that the Akedah points towards a God who does not require human sacrifice, but instead offers himself as a sacrifice for humanity. These alternative interpretations offer a more ethically palatable understanding of the Akedah. They allow us to reconcile the story with a God who is both loving and just. Section 5. Beyond blind obedience, faith, morality, and the divine. The story of Abraham and Isaac compels us to move beyond blind obedience in our understanding of faith. It encourages us to develop a faith that is rooted in critical thinking, moral reasoning, and a deep commitment to justice and mercy. True faith, according to this view, should never contradict our deepest moral intuitions. Instead, it should inform and elevate them. The Akedah challenges us to question any religious teaching or tradition that condones violence, oppression, or injustice. It reminds us that our relationship with God should be based on love, compassion, and a commitment to making the world a better place. We are called to be critical thinkers, questioning even the most sacred of texts and traditions. We are called to be moral agents, using our conscience and reason to discern right from wrong, and we are called to be agents of love, working to create a world where all beings are treated with dignity and respect. Section 6. Choosing love, embracing a compassionate faith. In the end, the story of Abraham and Isaac invites us to choose love. It invites us to embrace a faith that is grounded in compassion, justice, and a deep reverence for all life. This kind of faith does not demand blind obedience or require us to sacrifice our moral compass. Instead, it empowers us to be more fully human, to live with greater integrity and purpose. As we grapple with the complexities of the Akedah, let us remember that our faith should be a source of hope, healing, and liberation. It should inspire us to act with courage and compassion in the world. Let us strive to live out a faith that reflects the love, mercy, and justice of the God we claim to serve.